The air we breathe, health impacts of the environment. Greetings, everyone. My name is Daneene Monroe Rusnak. Some of you may know me as the Second Vice President of Advocacy for NFBPWC. A little bit of additional background about me. I became a registered nurse in 1996, and I'm currently in an advisory role for a supplemental health insurance company. I was born and raised near Pittsburgh, PA, and I currently live in Cleveland, Ohio. A title that I've recently given myself is that of Emerging Environment and Sustainable Development Advocate. Emerging because I'm still learning, perhaps like many of you. So some folks may ask, why is air quality important? Has anyone ever died of air pollution? In fact, yes, thousands. It's not something we like to think or talk about, but the air we breathe can actually make us sick. Millions of people in the US are exposed to unhealthy air every year. Now, anyone can be harmed by unhealthy air, but it's especially difficult for people with asthma, people with heart or lung problems, older adults, children, teens, and even people who just tend to be more active outdoors. Can you think of anyone that fits in any of these categories? I'm willing to bet that you can. So yes, let's talk about it. And better yet, let's do something about it. Today, I'll share some information on the 2 air pollutants of greater concern and share some small and simple steps you can take to help improve air quality. Let's jump in. Let's start by talking about ground level ozone. Ground level ozone is one of the 2 air pollutants of concern and is sometimes called bad ozone, to distinguish it, of course, from good ozone. The good ozone occurs naturally in the upper atmosphere and forms a layer that protects us from the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays. A good phrase to remember is good up high, bad nearby. Now, the ground level ozone is not emitted from a particular source, but it's formed by the reaction of volatile organic compounds and nitrogen oxides in the presence of heat and sunlight. So naturally, there's a greater concern in the summertime because sunlight and hot weather accelerate the ozone formation. Ozone levels can be high in both urban and rural areas, and we know that high ozone levels are the major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions and climate change. The second air pollutant of concern is particulate matter or particle pollution. Particle pollution is a complex mixture of extremely small particles and liquid droplets found in the air. Some particles are large or dark enough that they are seen as soot or smoke. Others are much smaller. Let's take a closer look at the diagram. If you see things like dust, pollen, and mold, those are PM10, which means they measure around 10 microns. They're shown here as the blue dots. Things like combustion particles, organic compounds, and metals, those are PM2.5. The pink dots, even smaller. Compare those to the human strand of hair, which usually measures about 50 to 70 microns, and compare that to a fine grain of sand, which is about 90 microns. I hope this gives you an idea of exactly how small the PM10 and the PM2.5 particles really are. This is the reason why this air pollutant is of such great concern, because when we inhale these very fine particles, they can cause serious health effects. Now, some of the particles do come from natural sources, but not surprisingly, most particles are produced by human activities, using our cars, trucks, and other vehicles, certain industries, power plants, even wood stoves. These fine and coarse particles can be emitted directly or formed in the air from gases. And when ozone or particle pollution is at a high enough concentration, it can irritate your eyes, nose, and throat. It can make it difficult to breathe. It can worsen asthma symptoms. It can even affect the development of children's lungs and have an impact on your heart, contributing to heart disease, abnormal heart rates, congestive heart failure, even stroke. So, you can't always see air pollution. How can you tell whether or not the air you're breathing is clean or dirty? The answer, the Air Quality Index. The Air Quality Index is a color-coded system for reporting air quality. It tells you how clean or how polluted air is and actions that you can take to protect your health when the air quality is unhealthy. Green indicates good air quality. Yellow is moderate, which means it's acceptable for most people, but there's a very small number of people that could still be affected. Orange means unhealthy for sensitive groups. Some of those folks that I'd mentioned earlier before, like children and teens, those with asthma, older adults, and people with heart and lung disease. Red signals unhealthy air for everyone, and purple is very unhealthy. Purple would trigger a health alert signifying that everyone may experience more serious health effects. So how exactly do you check the air quality forecast each day? There are a few ways. You can subscribe to EnviroFlash, which is a free air quality forecast. Go to airnow.com/EnviroFlash and you can sign up for that daily message to your inbox. You can also install a widget for a convenient way to check the forecast. And yes, it's 2021, so of course there's an app for that. Here are two. On the left is the Air Now app, and on the right is the Air Quality Air Visual app. The Air Now app can be obtained through the airnow.gov website, or like the Air Quality Air Visual app, through your app stores. Both work for iPhones and Androids, and both provide real-time and forecasted air pollution and weather data. Curious to know how the air quality around you has been over time? There's an easy way to find that out too. The EPA has an interactive story map. At this map, you can click on a county, which is indicated by the blue areas, and see how many unhealthy air quality days have happened in the last few years. I realize that that link isn't exactly memory friendly, so you can do a simple web search for air quality forecast or visit airnow.gov. I mentioned my two cities, Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So I was curious. I knew they had a history that wasn't exactly very good when it came to air quality. But things have changed, so certainly it must be better, right? Let's just say I wasn't exactly thrilled. Let's start with Cleveland. It's in Cuyahoga County. As recently as June of 2020, the National Weather Service had issued an air quality advisory for ground level ozone in multiple counties across Northeast Ohio, 8 counties to be exact. In fact, there were multiple days of alerts, even in the midst of the pandemic, where everything was slowing down or even stopped. What about Pittsburgh? Let's just say that the headline of the article associated with this picture was Pittsburgh's air improving, but still gets an F from American Lung Association. Not very inspiring. In Pittsburgh, the biggest sources of air pollution in the region are from cars, power plants, and heavy industry. Not an uncommon theme. But sadly, even as Allegheny County, where Pittsburgh is situated, achieved compliance with air standards, the region's air pollution hurt poor and Black people worse than others. Unfortunately, this is a fairly common statistic, and one that I find personally upsetting. See, I'm the daughter of a Black man who worked in a steel mill for just shy of 40 years. He started there right out of high school. And just shy of 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma. Just makes you wonder. So yes, this can be pretty heavy stuff, but don't feel helpless because you aren't helpless. Many hands make light work, and many people making small changes can have a very positive impact. So what can you do? Here's a few tips to help reduce air pollution. Do at least one or more of these actions every day. If you're at home, you can simply turn off the lights when you leave a room. Wait until your dishwashers or clothes washers are full before you run them. And please avoid burning leaves, trash, and other materials. When you're at work or at school, turn off the office equipment after hours. Print and copy using both sides of the paper, or get pretty creative and start an alternative transportation program to encourage biking, walking, or carpooling. How about if you're on the road? Well, if you haven't been able to make the leap to a fully electric vehicle yet, refuel your car in the evening when it's cooler. Avoid idling and try to schedule errands together. And as much as you can, take public transportation. We all need to be reminded to do our part to reduce pollution. In closing, I will leave you with this quote. Because no matter who we are or where we come from, we're all entitled to the basic human rights of clean air to breathe, clean water to drink, and healthy land to call home. I want to thank you for joining me on my journey to becoming a better ESD advocate. Remember, we all play a part and we can all make a difference. Thank you.